there is a difference in terms of what you need to know and the processes that you need to get on board. And that's where experience, knowledge, and professionalism and ethical practice has a place in this market. I want to get into the industry. Well, yeah, you're going to have to do the hard graft. I'm sorry, there's no easy way in.
The word LPA, leading property agents, is it different to the LPA we have today? How do we help young people?
My belief, the market regulation needs to be driven from within the industry because...
Welcome to Charlie in Sotogrande, the podcast where we look at the people, the places and the passions that make Sotogrande this fantastic community it is. Today I'm joined by Ben Bateman, Director of Holmes Sotogrande. And we've decided to have a discussion about ethics, professionalism and the collaborative solutions to elevate real estate practices here in the area of Sotogrande in particular. Unfortunately, the real estate industry here is not regulated. And sometimes we do get some less than professional estate agents. And we want to talk about how we can improve the situation. Ben, welcome.
Charlie.
Well, just before we start, why don't you give the audience, the listeners, a little bit about your background? Because I know you've been here forever in Sotogrande, so you are probably well versed about what's happened over the years in the real estate industry.
Sotogrande, it's home.
Yeah.
I think anyone who knows me knows that it has been for a very long time. My parents moved here in 1980, so we moved here permanently as a family in 1980.
Right.
And Holmes came with them. My father's original business was Holmes Travel, which turned into Holmes Promociones, Holmes Property Sales, which was property management, rental holidays, golfing holidays.
Okay.
And so on. But what a wonderful place to arrive in 1980 and never leave.
Yeah. And you went to school here, in fact.
Well, yeah. I was, so 1980, I was 3.5 when we first got here. And I started at the Sotogrande, the International School Sotogrande.
That was you.
That was the ISS, yes, yeah, green and white as opposed to the blue today.
Did they give you numbers? I was at school and I had a number. I was 387.
No, I think I was just Ben. I think there was only
Ben number one.
I think there was only 5 of us in primary at that stage.
Yeah. So since then and the school today, an awful lot has happened.
Sotogrande has just. I don't want to sound derogatory or demeaning, but Sotogrande has rumbled along, grown slowly, developed, which I think is a massive contrast to anywhere along the coast. I think it's a contrast to pretty much anywhere else in the world, where something that was planned so far in advance has been able to grow and develop slowly, methodically. And I think that's why we see Sotogrande today as a place that is immaculate compared to anywhere else, where there is such a depth and breadth of different architectural styles, times, history, and families and people who have spent so much time here.
Do you think that was by design or by accident? Accident because of where it was, and access. I think the secret sort of slowly came out.
I think the unspoken secret is, I think that the Sotogrande, the developers, Joe McMicking, they found it very difficult getting Sotogrande started.
Up and running, yeah.
The biggest difficulty I think they ran into was when the border closed with Gibraltar. Yeah. So the whole growth and expansion of Sotogrande was based on the fact that there was going to be an international airport within 15 minutes drive of Sotogrande. But Franco closed the border, and to get to Malaga was, even in the 1980s, it was 2.5 hours. Yeah. So imagine what it was in the 60s and the 70s.
That's right.
So that was a big issue. Then in the early 80s, there was the delay in border actually reopening, which stuttered the sale and start of, the B zone, and of course every other external crisis that has happened since then has had, Charlie, as you know, you've lived through a couple.
Yes,
I think I've been aware of most of them, whether as a child in the family, in the real estate business, or in the business myself. But it's the difference today is that Sotogrande has come of age, where Sotogrande wasn't really understood perhaps through the 80s, through the 90s, and even in the early noughties. It was what is Sotogrande trying to be? It's not trying to be anything. Sotogrande is what it is. But I think post-COVID, Sotogrande became relevant for why it was conceived in the first place, what it was supposed to be. It suddenly is, wow, there is a place. There is a place that actually does everything that post-COVID we want.
I mean, with all of that and the growth, I suppose, it's where we as real estate agents come in, because, you know, people had to come and stay somewhere, live somewhere, rent somewhere, and that is what has exploded along with the growth of everything else.
Real estate agencies in Sotogrande, has been a sort of a ubiquitous part of the landscape in that sense. I think the casual familiarity of everybody who lives here and everyone who is in Sotogrande, and that innate confidence that you do have, I think, as a first time arriving in Sotogrande, is that you do feel that that you can trust everyone, that these people are friends, these people recommend this person. So it's a sort of a ubiquitous familiarity with everyone that's here, be it your lawyer, your accountant, your housekeeper, gardener, your real estate agent, your banker. It's very familiar. But I think moving forward, that will change to a certain extent, certainly as the population now grows exponentially, particularly with the school and the fact that people are becoming more and more permanent residents here, and that there's over 6,000 units in Sotogrande. So with that, and there's been an interesting phenomenon, and I think it's not just in Sotogrande, but I think it's also along the coast. In actual fact, I think the real estate agency market industry on the Costa del Sol is probably one of the most unregulated, certainly in Europe, I mean, possibly in the world. I mean, in Marbella, people describe it as the Wild West.
The Wild West, indeed,
luckily here in Sotogrande, because of this ubiquitous familiarity that we have with our neighbours, our colleagues, we have unwritten rules, unspoken rules, and ways of conduct. I mean,
but they do come and go. I mean, it's very much along the lines of, it's a good market, suddenly you have agents popping up.
Absolutely,
and vice versa. When
I think it's fantastic that that from time to time, there is that growth in the market, and competition is always good for any industry. And as like yourselves and Holmes, we are mainstays of the market. We are primary listing agents. As a primary listing agent, I think we have a responsibility to the market as well. We have a responsibility to, in good times and bad times, and to stay the course, to continue to deliver the right service. That's got to be. You've got to act to a certain code of ethics. You've got to be responsible. You've got to have client care and responsibility to them always in mind. It's not
not only with the sale, but the post sale as well.
It's not only selling a client's property. It's the future client who is the buyer, who will be coming to you sometime in the future, saying, we want to sell, we're moving away, we want to upgrade, we need another property, whatever it is. You can't just say one thing today when someone's buying and say something else when they're coming to selling, which is in stark contrast, just simply because it suits you at that moment. No, there's got to be consistency, honesty,
but it's
in the market.
I mean, it's difficult to think that. I mean, I don't work for my commission. I work because I'm selling Sotogrande. I'm working, to make someone find their home. I work for the lifestyle that we have here. Maybe someone going to school. Someone maybe is here because they want to play golf or whatever it is. And you and I bump into them. We'll see them in the marina. We'll see them. So they become part of our life.
It's very difficult to go out down to the K-bar in disguise, isn't it, Charlie?
Exactly. But and it's that honesty that you have to have. And as you say, we've been here long enough where I'm sure you have, and I certainly have. You probably more in my case. That is sold a house 2 or 3 times. And you're selling it the same property, but you're having you sold it to the individual who then you sold it for, and so on and so forth.
So every client is a seller. I mean, technically speaking, our clients are who gives us a mandate to work, which is we are mandated to offer someone's property for sale. But at the same time, any buyer realistically is a future client. Yeah. But as a professional, you have a duty of care to both parties. Yeah. And that duty of care and responsibility, I think, is what is important for longevity and consistency within the market. But there's interesting, like you said, you're not just here for the commission. No. I'm a microbiologist. Since when is a microbiologist and real estate agent? Yeah. But I decided on a cold, wet, freezing morning in April in Bristol in 2002 that I'd had enough of the weather. And that I wanted to come home. Sure. Yeah. I wanted to be able to spend the summer in Sotogrande. Yeah. I wanted to be able to enjoy that lifestyle because it's something.
And you're not the only one. I mean, we've got Felix, who's here. He went to the school and he's back here and he's got his business going and he's another example. And
I know countless people, countless friends, people I've known my entire lives, and it's only a matter of time before they come back. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very difficult to find somewhere.
Well, Sotogrande gets under your skin. It's never leaving. It's a niche. It's always going to need scratching.
Yeah. The word LPA, leading property agents. I've heard it when I first came, and there were, I think, 4 or 5 agents here at Sotogrande who, and I didn't really understand what it was all about. Is it different to the LPA we have today?
Well, it's an evolution of. So the LPA that you remember, so that started in the early noughties was an association of like-minded real estate agents that wanted to get together to create a system of recognition, right? But also that it's if you like, it's peer reviewed. It's colleagues that recognise and respect other colleagues for the effort, for the professionalism, and their way of working the market. Yeah. Also, a way of collaborating. It was difficult at the time in terms of how do you set up an association. So it started off with the few core founder members, which included Holmes. My father was president, but it was a different structure. Yeah. But those same members, after that failed to work in the way because it was set up as a company structure, not as an association. Yeah. It had difficulties with the financial crisis in terms of the coherence and really getting the message across and actually trying to deliver what the fundamental motivating factor of that association. Post-COVID, or during COVID, the ball was picked up again by the same principal founding members of the original version, but then it was relaunched.
Yeah, because it's very much a Marbella thing now, isn't it? I mean, it seems to me.
Well, it always was in terms of who the core members are, okay. But it's got focus, it's got drive, it's got determination behind it, and it also, I think, it's the right time for it. Yeah. There's a time and place for everything, as people say, and if the early noughties was, there was the idea, there was the ambition, but the timing wasn't right to really cement it. But today, I think it's more important than it was 20 years ago. Can you believe it's 20 years ago? the number of agents, the value of properties. We're not talking, 1.5 million or 200,000 euros. We're talking tens of millions. And it's a lot of money, and I think the market itself, the people who come to this coast, come to Sotogrande, they deserve better.
Of course. They deserve better because what we have is unregulated. What we have allows for inexperience, allows for misleading, not made necessarily deliberately, but because they don't know how things should be done. It allows for, I give you an example today. I was asked to list a property, I went to see it, and I asked for the documentation. I compared the nota simple against the catastro, and there was a vast difference. 300 meters of house, which the nota simple didn't recognize. But another agency does have it with the catastro number. So there will be problems, and there's no pool registered, and when I went back to the person trying to sell, they said, "But I never knew this."
Well, this is it. It's not a case of whether or not there are issues with the paperwork on any property.
No,
it's 23, 24 years I've been doing this. 20 years my parents and their partner Miguel before.
There's always something.
There isn't a deal that I've done that is the same as any other deal. And every deal that you do, that you're learning something new every time. And there's always something else to resolve and adapt. But what is important is consistency. And it's consistency on the reporting of the description of properties. So are you reporting what is the square meters that are stated on the cadastral, or what's on the escritura, what's registered at the land registry, or what is actually there? Those are the three differences that you could have. Knowing that the cadastral is likely to be either more or less when you're talking about land areas, it's more likely to be more because the town hall will be able to charge more, and that land area is taken from estimations from aerial photographs. The same with the constructed area. The land registry is taken from the declared built area that has actually been presented at a notary who's signed it, and then it's registered, and then you've got the actual, that's actually what exists. So
could have something that's not declared.
It could have something that's not declared, and of course all three can be completely different. But the consistency is not just reporting what square meters are present on each of the three, in the three circumstances, but also what you advise to an owner when those discrepancies are there. In its experience, it says your cadastral can either be updated or not, because to the actual, if it coincides with what's at the land registry. But if what's at the land registry is less than what is actually there, then the clients, the owners, need to be advised that needs to be updated and registered. And of course, you always get the kickback from that, which is not the kickback, but the pushback, which is, oh, but I've been told no pasa nada, pasa nada, estamos aquí en Andalucía, no pasa nada. No,
something was going to happen.
It does matter. Now, perhaps in the early noughties, it didn't, but post 2010, 2012. The legislation is catching up, and more and more it is insisted on. So it's a consistency in the advice that us real estate agents are giving to owners when they are listing their properties for sale.
Before we get into how we can try and fix it, let's have some anecdotal stories of things that, bad practices that you may have witnessed, without mentioning names.
Without mentioning names, yes. Bad practices. There's two forms of bad practice. There's bad practice in terms of how you act within the industry with regards to your colleagues and peers and other real estate agents. And then there's bad practice how you act towards clients and customers, buyers and owners. So it's like we say, it's very easy to sell snow to Greenland if you tell them it's sand. And it's the worst practice really is not answering questions truthfully, not being truthful, being deceitful. But also, it might not be deliberate. It might be simply for the fact that there is no inherent interest for a lot of agencies at different times of the economic cycles. We are in a boom cycle at the moment, or have been, and of course what we see is a lot of developers coming to the market and they want to sell. But and as a result of that, you see a lot of new agencies or agencies that are specializing in selling properties off plan, which is great. And their specialities will be putting are lead generators. They are looking for buyers and they're going to sell. But as soon as the market goes, those salespeople, those agencies, they go as well, because they're not here for the resale market. They're here because they have a product that they can sell off the shelf. Yeah. And that is rack 'em, stack 'em, pack 'em, and off you go. Selling a property off plan is not nearly as complex or as demanding in terms of time, effort, responsibility as selling a resale property.
Yeah, because it all passes to the developer, it passes to the legal system.
But it's a €5,000 or a €10,000 reservation fee. That's your commission guaranteed. Off you go to the next one. The salesperson doesn't have to know a background on the market, because they are simply selling a product in a development. That's it. There's no going to the notary. No. There's no preparing contracts. It's all done and prepared. Now that's not to say that there isn't a role for those agencies in the market. There absolutely is, because Charlie, you and I, when the market's booming, there's 50 plus nationalities of students at the international school. How could we possibly be marketing to 50 plus different countries to bring buyers to here? So we're relying on referral agents, people who are lead generators to bring buyers to us, is fundamental in this market. Yeah. And so, of course, there's a place for them. But there are people who start off working in that part of the sector, decide that they love Sotogrande and they want to stay like we know so well, because we've done it ourselves. But and they want to get into the market. They want to extend that. I'm not saying that there should be a barrier to entry to them. Of course not. But there is a difference in terms of what you need to know and the processes that you need to get on board, and that's where experience in the resale market is needed. Yeah,
totally. I mean, I fully agree with what you said, and I mean, I applaud you for saying that. Other parts of Spain do have regulation, or try to put regulation in, and I think we both agree that we would want that here in Andalusia, certainly along the Costa del Sol, because it would straighten up a lot of things that need attention. I assume you support that, yes? And,
I absolutely support a fundamental mechanism by which people operating and working as real estate agents, as listing agents, are regulated or recognised or approved in some way or other, where you can have an official stamp of recognition that you are verified and you are known to act within certain guidelines, rules and ethics. In terms of national organisations, forgive me for not having so much trust in Spain over the years in terms of anything which is driven via the state rather than from the industry, because if you look across the world and you look across Europe, most industry standards, associations and bodies are driven from within the industry, and the legislation is then put in place by the state, but it's driven from within the industry rather than from the objective of the state. And when you take it from the objective of the state, there isn't a clear...
Absolutely true. I mean, and this is, I'm talking from other industries I've worked in the tobacco industry, where it was, the government was, the health ministry was stop them, but guess who was encouraging us? the tax man, they actually wanted the tax, so you had to get the balance, and it was actually self-regulated. The industry did self-regulate for many years until it really sort of caught up, and then maybe legislation did come in. And even today, in many countries, there's no legislation. It's because there's no.
It's consensus within the industry leaders itself, in terms of where responsibility and responsible trading, given the parameters, obviously the tobacco industry, to talk about ethics and trading in the tobacco industry, it's a very grey area. But those standards of how are we supposed to compete within the market against each other? What is fair? What is correct? Given the parameters that we're operating in, that's where, in my belief, the market regulation needs to be driven from within the industry, because that we know how it operates, we know how it works. I'll give another example of something which is curious, particularly in Spain. Bank valuations. Bank valuations are carried out by official valuation agencies.
Tinsa, for example.
Tinsa, Eurotasa, whatever. Which of the European countries was hit the biggest in the residential property market post-financial crisis with overvaluations of properties? Now, who knows best how to value a property in a particular market? It's not just about the average price per square metre, as you well know, Charlie. One side of the street could be 6,000 euros a square metre, the other side could be 2,500 square metre. Without the technology that perhaps exists today, it's difficult to have that valuation. But of course, in Spain, the legislation is such that it has to be a valuation agency that gives the valuation, because otherwise, there could be a conflict of interest. This is where we live. No, totally agree. Do you reckon that we here could auto-regulate ourselves? Is that Absolutely.
something? Because we have sat down a few years ago, and it really sort of puffed up in the air. We all, 4 or 5 of us would sit down, what we called ourselves, the bigger ones, if you like, and we never really followed through.
We don't really follow through, because the biggest obstacles that we've always had on these conversations actually is the pushback from those who don't want the regulation. It's those who know that they are not playing by the rules, and they know they're cheating the system, and they know they're not going to be able to match the expectations in terms of criteria, criminal records, insurances, having offices, paying their taxes. That's just the basic, the minimum level of expectation. Client reviews or complaints, and or recognition from industry peers that they are known to be professional. Because you and I both know that we know who are not the professional players in our industry. Is it fair for us to be shouting it out loud? No. But when it comes down to us talking about regulation and putting things in place, saying, oh yes, this is just a club for the boys to be able to do and control their interests. No, it's not about controlling our interests. It's about controlling the interests of the market as a whole, what's best for the market, because there are some people who are not good for the market, and yes, they need to be excluded if they're not good for the market, if they are corrupt, if they're not honest, if they're not ethical, if they are bending the rules, if they're not paying their taxes, if they're not paying their rent, if they're not they don't have their insurances, and they're not acting ethically, then yes, no, they should not be allowed to be operating in the market. But if it's them that's giving the pushback because they want to continue operating because the regulation will stop them.
What would be those requirements, do you think? Let's go through them. You mentioned having an office. I
think it's important to have an office. Yes. Why? Because it also goes to what is fair competition. Sitting on a bar stool. It's a joke, I don't really know anywhere else in the world where you can get off a plane, arrive in a resort, go to the bar, tell someone that you're looking for property, and find out that they're going to buy a £5 million apartment from them the following day. I don't think that. Would you land in Heathrow, get into central London, go to a pub, tell someone you've just met at the pub that you want to buy an apartment, and then next thing you know, that person that you've just met at the pub is selling you the apartment? No, it doesn't happen. No. It doesn't happen, but here it does for some reason. And so that's why the protection needs to be there. And that's why there needs to be an office, because whether you've met someone in the pub, at the bar, at the restaurant, at the golf club, at the tennis club, wherever, that doesn't matter. Come and meet me in my office.
My place, the place of business.
You have a place of business. It means you're paying rent. It means you're invested in the local market. It means you're contributing to the local economy. It also means that you have probably an employee, you have a receptionist, you have a secretary. And all of that goes to show that you have the infrastructure behind you to be able to deliver on the service that is expected as a real estate agent. So Where does that come into it? Well, setting up a podcast like this, for example, putting property descriptions together, coordinating appointments, collecting all the documentation that is required. It takes a long time of sitting on the phone, sending emails and collating information. Now, that can't be done when you're out on the street selling property for your clients. You need backup to do that. And you need, so having an office, having a support team, having an administration, that all costs money.
Yeah. Insurance.
I
mean, how many
professional liability insurance?
How many don't have it here? I wonder.
I do believe there's less and less,
Yeah.
And it is becoming more and more obvious that people need to look more professional in the market.
Yeah.
But certainly an office, a physical presence, which is a commercial presence, not just outside of your living room. No. A commercial premises.
No.
Again, this is about competing within a market on equal footing.
Yeah.
This is not saying, oh yes, it's okay, I'll just work from home, I'll charge the same fees, but I'll let the primary listing agents, come hell or high water, come rain or snow, come crisis, no crisis, continue the advertising, continue letting the buying market know that there are properties for sale, continue offering the services that owners require, whether the market is booming or not, whether it's a valuation and an opinion or help with inheritance or whether it's help with other complications. Those primary agents that are here consistently doing the work that you need to do, whether it's booming or not.
And they get all the benefit of that because it's just...
That's fine. So yes, I have no problem with competition. I think competition is great, but it's about time that that the market actually sits up and recognises and says, yes, that it's experience, knowledge, and professionalism and ethical practice has a place in this market. And I think in every industry it does, but we need to stand up and say that today.
But I'm sure, as we do, we get pats on the back when it all goes well, and people really are thankful for a smooth transition through what they may think is a very difficult, muddy, grey, all it is different to wherever they come from, and I don't think it's that complicated. It's just different from the UK. It's different from France. It's different from Germany.
Not enough. Not enough. Thank yous. But no, it's not that. It's not enough. People probably never believe me, but when you do get that message and say, thank you so much. This has been absolutely. Fantastic. Really, really grateful. Couldn't have done this, but really, I have to say, what a great team you have. Those many, many times, those are worth more to me personally than the commission. Yes, the commission, of course, you have to live. It's the money.
Yes,
but I do this job here in this place because I want to be here in Sotogrande.
Exactly.
I have a great friend who says, Ben, go to Dubai, you'll make billions selling floor spaces on tower blocks. And I say, yes, but I'm not a real estate agent. I just apply myself to helping people buy and sell property in Sotogrande. Yeah. That's the difference, I think.
Yeah, I know. I mean, if I was 35, I might think about it, but...
I am 35, Charlie.
Oh, yeah? No, not quite. The other thing I think that scares people about this qualification business, is qualification themselves. I mean, in another part of Spain, I think it's Valencia, they talk about, you need to have some sort of degree or 200 hours of experience.
Does that can you out, Charlie?
No, I have a degree and I've got more than 200 hours of experience, so I'm all right. Agente de la propiedad. I know
agente de la propiedad. Yeah,
I have no idea what they mean.
Well, but the API. You've got to have a degree. It's a minimum level of education. Yeah. So what they're saying is that someone who hasn't passed their GCSEs or their EGB really should be thinking twice if they want to be heading up a real estate industry, because if they can't read or write, then they shouldn't be. That's the theory behind it. That if you're educated to a certain level, then you should be capable of handling a real estate business. Yes, of course you can. That's the sort of burden of proof. Is that if you have a higher level degree, then you must be intelligent enough to be able to cope with real estate industry. Yes, of course, but it shouldn't exclude people either in many ways. Again, a lot of it is experience. So you might not have a degree, but if you've worked for 10 years underneath someone who has the experience, you're qualified in that sense.
Of course you are.
So this is where sort of state legislation and regulation, I think, conflicts with.
I've heard it said, everyone wants regulation, but be careful what you wish for, because if it's coming from the authorities,
if it's coming from Pedro Sanchez, we have a problem.
Exactly, it could be very, very different in terms of what we might envision. Something like
be careful what you wish for when you realise it regulates it actually for the boys the wrong way. It's got to come. Any regulation or any kind of recognition of industry standards. It's got to come from within the industry.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think the LPA is doing a good job at that.
The LPA
certainly got momentum.
It's got momentum, and this is great. I mean, it really has. It's just wonderful to watch it grow and take off into the direction where for so many years we wanted it to go. What the LPA is doing is it's simple. The mission is we want the industry to be cleaned up here on the coast. We want people to feel safe and secure that when they go to an agent, they know they're dealing with a reputable agent. They're not going to get ripped off, and they know that their properties are going to get listed properly. They know that the buyers they're safe, that they're getting the right information and the paperwork's all in order, etc., and they're going to be held at hands. But also, if you decide to collaborate with a colleague because you've got a buyer or you've got a listing or you've got a referral agent bringing a buyer, you want to know that they're acting ethically, and also with as a referral agent with a buyer going to a listing agent, that you have the confidence that when you're taking your customer to that listing agent for their listed property, that it's going to be in order as well. So it works both ways, and that's where the LPA comes in, and that is what the ambition is. It's not it's an association. It's not about generating profit. Anything that comes in from the members' membership fees is going back into generating seminars, education. Exactly. So you join, if you have a certain level of experience joining the LPA, you will learn more.
Exactly.
You will learn more, not just through shared information from the colleagues, but from the seminars, the talks, and the education platforms and programs that are put in place to help.
Can it get too big? Because I look at this LPA on the WhatsApp group and I just can't.
Well, at the moment it's manageable on the WhatsApp to a certain extent, and but I know I can see we're 80 something members now, and it's growing daily. 150 members, and everyone's putting, hey, anyone can help me with this? Anyone got this information? Which is what we get daily. No, you'll need someone full time in the office just to handle what's the question. So at the moment it works there, but that's why it's growing, and that's why it's. But the other platforms will then have to be developed, I'm sure, at some point. But this is as baby steps. But can it get too big? No, because how many real estate agents are there operating on this coast? Just, I don't know, do you want to take a guess?
1,500?
I think we're in multiple thousands operating on this coast.
And
thousands. There
agents
are thousands.
or agencies?
Agencies. Thousands.
And then they all have 2 or 3 people.
Exactly. So if you've got thousands of agencies, most of which are pop-up, agencies, no. I like to distinguish the difference between a listing agent and the marketeers and the lead generators.
An MLS recipient.
Exactly. So you've got the lead generators, and you have the primary listing agents. Obviously, the objective of all lead generators is that they want to become listing agents as well, not just off-plan properties. But that's where the regulation is needed. Because you've got to be able to demonstrate to the market that you know what you're talking about when you're taking on an individual person's client's property, because they're not the developer. The buck doesn't stop with them. It does, but they need the advice and the help from
and also some element of KYC or some element of vetting, some element of proof of funds, because you bring Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones, Mr. whoever coming in, and you take them into a house. Are they for real? Are they? I mean.
Oh yes. They've got loads of money.
Yeah. How do you know that?
Right. How do you know that? Well, because
a watch.
No, because he turned up in a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. All of that.
Talking about anecdotal stories. This goes back a number of years. There was an applicant who'd arrived a couple of times here in Sotogrande looking at very high value properties, and it was clear that he wasn't per se as he said he was.
Yeah.
Many telltale signs and red flags, which over the years on this coast you get to see them a million miles away. I have a thing about if there's red flags, I will carry on running with this person. Because I want to get to the end. I want to find out if there is something dodgy about this person, and there is a con, or they are trying to defraud someone. What is it that they're trying to do? How they're trying to do it? Because I want to be able to warn people if they come back from it. There's no point in saying, "Oh, I've caught you," and they go running off and find someone else in the experience. And next thing you know, your client via another agent has now just got stung because this person, it wasn't investigated. Anyway, I heard that he was back about 18 months later, and I called the agency that had rented him a property, and said, "Do not let him into the property. He is not to be trusted. This is. I'm not trying to be devious in any way, shape, or form. Genuinely, he is
a problem.
He is a problem." The answer was, "Oh, you just want to keep the client for yourself." Needless to say, I know he's real. I know he's real. How do you know he's real? Well, he arrived in a private jet into Gibraltar, and I saw that he had no luggage tags. Needless to say, the £30,000 check bounced.
Yeah.
So they had to get him out of the property.
Wow.
But yeah.
Yeah. No, we've had examples like that. We had a chap who his name was something.
No names.
No, because he changes it. Doesn't
Oh, well, that's okay.
I don't think it's his real name anyway. Aion, and he wanted to see the Cartier house, the Manzana. So, we talked, and he had enough information about it. He'd seen enough photographs and everything else, but he knew the rooms, he knew the colors of this, he could tell the story. When I was a child, I was invited there, blah, 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 blah. And when he came to visit, he said, "Do you mind if you come to collect me in La Línea at the bus station?" I said, "What?" And then it all starts. I said, "Yeah, my Ferrari, I was racing up the motorway and I was going too fast and they confiscated the car, so I'm without a car." But off he came. But this went on and on and on. Not with that particular property, but another very large property. He actually engaged a lawyer whom engaged with the vendor's lawyer. And they were writing contracts. It went all the way along there, and all of a sudden he disappeared again. And then the story came back that, "No, sorry, summer's here and we are in Mallorca and we are sailing at the Costa del Rey. And blah blah blah. So that we'll be here another 3 weeks." And you actually get into the thing if you want to believe him, but you start thinking,
the red flags are there. But these stories are interesting because the thing is, it's 2 years later, 18 months later. There's a colleague that calls and says, "Charlie, I've got an applicant, they're looking for this house," and they suddenly go, "He's in Mallorca, he's sailing with the family," and you go, I've heard this line before. So was Aion up to this time?
And that's exactly what happened. And then he said, I said, "What's his name?" He said, "Noya," which is Aion backwards.
but yes, so experience.
Yeah,
it's not just that. It's the knowledge. It's this coast. Is filled with very, very, very colourful characters on every shade you can imagine.
Exactly.
one most wonderful, brightest diamonds, flowers in the world to the horrible, darkest.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Future. What's your vision for the real estate market in Sotogrande? I mean, is it there are are we getting too many agents here? Is it reach a point where you need to?
There's no barrier to entry, you know. And as I say, I'm very happy for people to want to do it, but there has to be a point now. As I think I said earlier, it's not a 200,000 apartment we're talking about. It's not a we're talking tens of millions, and we're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands for the smallest apartments. So if you're a listee, you're wanting to come in and act as a listing agent, there's got to be a minimum standard and expectations, because when someone gets off a plane in Malaga, in Gibraltar, Seville, and arrives here in Sotogrande, what is to tell them that that nice shiny business card and that nice shiny billboard and that beautiful Instagram page actually speaks for experience?
Yeah.
There's nothing beyond that.
Yeah.
What does is some kind of institution, association that gives you a stamp of approval, and you can say, I am, for example, and I think it's the only association that's truly trying to do this within the industry, is I am an industry recognized professional operating on this coast. And that is what I think people need to think about, particularly when they're listing their properties, because it's the listings that brings the buyers. Now, buyers can market, they can enter it, but at the end of the day, where people get into trouble is as they're buying. And so it's the listing and how that property is listed, but also people need to be represented correctly when they're having their properties listed for sale. If we have an agency who has no direct listings because they're fresh to the market, the first thing they want to do in a market like we're in today is build up their window display. Now, how do you do that? Yes, sir, of course, sir, absolutely, sir. Yes, of course your house is worth 5 million. There may be 5 other agencies who give an evaluation of 2.5, but all that agency wants is the window display. They don't care whether the property sells or not. They've just got it in their window, and that's so they can attract a buyer. I'm maybe exaggerating to the extremes here, but the point is, where is the listing agent's vested interest? Is it to deliver the outcome that the client wants? I need this property sold within 6 months because we are looking to do this as a family. Do you think we can achieve this price in that time? Oh yes, sir. Oh yes, sir. 3 years later, it's still for sale, and multiple price reductions, and suddenly everyone's asking what's wrong with this property? It's been on the market for so long. Why does no one want to buy it? No one wants to buy it because it was an unprofessional, inexperienced agent who didn't know how to value the property, put the property to market, and adequately find the right applicant to eventually buy it within the time frame, within the price range that the client is looking for. Or even just give the advice and say, no, sorry, sir, we are not going to be able to achieve that price in this time frame, so, make other plans.
Exactly. How do we help young people? I mean, if we are veterans, I don't know, of this industry, and there are younger people coming in, I mean, can we help them at all?
Of course we can. Of course we can, because this is what the LPA is about. It is about shared experience. Where we can help people is, I want to get into the industry. Well, you're going to have to do the hard graft. I'm sorry, there's no easy way in if there is an industry standard. You've got to do the hard graft. Okay, so how do I become qualified? Get out there and get the experience. But if I'm not getting listings, no, you don't need your listings. There is a multi-listing system. There are databases where you can have access to properties. I'm sorry, you're going to have to share the commission. But that's why this market on this coast has a standard minimum 5% commission. Why? Because it is reliant on referrals, and it is reliant on the marketeers, the lead generators, and the listing agents, and the shared commissions accordingly. So whilst you're doing your experience, that and you're building up
Clearly.
your knowledge, then yeah, you're plugged into a database, but you don't be upset that you're not getting direct listings because you don't have an industry stamp of approval. When you've got your industry stamp of approval, then you can go for your listings.
Go for it, yeah. Is there any question, do you think, Ben, that I have not asked you that you wish I had?
Why am I so successful? No.
Why is it?
No.
I mean, talking about what we're talking about.
I mean, just to talk. I've been talking about it.
Is there anything there that I not?
You know what I would like for all our colleagues to do at the end of this is to be asking themselves, what is the LPA? Mm-hmm. Why is it going to be important? And should I be becoming a member? Well, yes, I think the answer's there. Go online. LPA Spain, leading property agents in Spain, go online, look for the website, fill in the form, ask for information, and find out more about the LPA and what it can do for you. One, in terms of the education, the platform, the connections, and the expertise that you'll have at hand. But two, why it's going to be good for you, because it's going to be good for the industry. If it's good for the industry, it's good for you long term.
There you go, everybody. That's Ben's opinion. I sort of agree with him that is the way forward. LPA. So do contact either Ben or I if you want, but go onto the website, you can do it yourself, you can go direct to the LPA. You will learn an awful lot if you really wanted to become more and more professional and serve the client, both vendor and the person coming to buy. Ben, thank you very much. I think that was very interesting.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully people will enjoy that and learn from it. And there you go. Thank you very much for coming along.